listeners, before we get to the podcast, we are thrilled to tell you about the great mathematics debate.
Y'all, I'm so excited. I have been invited to debate an award-winning Australian expert in explicit instruction and cognitive load theory. Her name's Toni Hatton-Roberts. I was invited by a group in Australia to do the great debate they are calling Teaching Procedures versus Developing Mathematical Reasoning. It's going to be amazing. To register to attend this virtual event, go to bit.ly/great math debate, bit.ly/great math debate, where you can register to attend. It is July 7th, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, or you can listen to the recording, but you have to register to get the recording. All right, y'all, check it out. Join me in the debate. Hey, fellow mathers. Welcome to the podcast where math is figure-outable. I'm Pam Harris, a former mimicker turned mather.
And I'm Kim Montague, a reasoner who now knows how to share her thinking with others. At Math is Figure-Outable, we are on a mission to improve math teaching.
Because we know that algorithms are amazing human achievements. That, I got to figure out the intonation on that sentence different. It's like the same, we know that, amazing.
I know, I same thing for me.
Let's see. Y'all, we know that algorithms are amazing human achievements, but they're terrible teaching tools because mimicking step-by-step procedures actually traps students into using less sophisticated reasoning than the problems are intended to develop. I had to take a breath in the middle of that one.
You need breaking up sentences. You say that
all
every time.
Right, yeah.
In this podcast, we help you teach mathing, building relationships with your students, and grappling with mathematical relationships.
Do you take a breath in that one?
No, but mathematical relationships is a tongue tie for me.
Huh. I don't think I've ever heard you stumble on that one. Mathematical relationship. I'll have to say that 4 times fast. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us to make math more figure-outable. We're on one today, so hold on tight. This is going to be fantastic. Woo! All right, Kim.
Right before we got on, I told Pam that I have the oldest eyes. Man, when I hit 40, something happened. But I found a lovely short review, which I'm excited about. Meeks McD. Is that like McDonald's?
Oh, could be, yeah.
I can see it, but it's a tough go. Meeks McD said, I'm hooked. 5 stars. Yay.
Oh, hooked. Yay.
This podcast is fantastic. Pam and Kim challenged me in the most delightful ways.
Oh, I love that you say that. That's awesome.
I mean, I think we challenge a lot of people and they don't always love it. So,
well, to be clear, I think we challenge each other. Right?
We're mostly pleasant on the podcast. Our team, is the rest of our teammates are like,
what when we challenge each other in meetings?
They probably don't like it.
I mean, I think we challenge each other on the podcast just pleasantly. We don't. Yeah. Maybe are we always as pleasant when we're not on the? Hey, speaking of old eyes, I'm feeling like I have this old shoulder, and it's crazy. I'm doing these exercise things. What is with my left shoulder?
When we both had shoulder surgery, mine was left. Was yours right or left?
No, it was left. It's the one I had the surgery on.
Well, yeah. I gotta get that looked at.
I don't have time. Not right now.
You never have time.
It's on the list. I got to get my hormone levels straightened out. Y'all, if you mess with your thyroid, just join me in because I'm not only hypothyroid, I'm hypoparathyroid, which no one knows what that is because it's super rare. It's actually a rare condition. Anyway, I got to get that figured out. And then, but in the meanwhile, I'm trying to exercise, and it's just making me crazy that my left shoulder. Anyway, all right, should we do some math?
Let's do it.
How did I get onto that?
My old eyes.
Okay. Oh, there you go. A while ago, not too long ago, we did a podcast series about problem strings. And one of the podcasts that we did was facilitating problem strings.
Yeah.
And in that podcast, I guess we did something that we don't always do because people are telling us that they were like, hey, do more of that. And I was like, wait, don't we do problem strings?
What?
Yeah, we do problem strings all the time on the podcast. And they said, what was different is this time we kind of painted a picture of the moves that we would make when and why and maybe alternatives and really really kind of painted a picture of what it would look like in a classroom to do that particular problem string. So
we've heard that before, right? Sometimes I think that we try to communicate what's in our heads, but unless you're in our heads,
which is a scary place to be.
Sue, who we love, has said you need to unpack more because maybe you're not saying enough sometimes to give people a good image. So this is another realization that describing more might be helpful.
Yeah, and specifically, I think we've done a good job on the podcast of describing the string and the
Yeah.
relationships and the math at hand, but less the classroom and the look and what would
Yeah,
actually be happening with
for
kids.
sure.
So let's do that today.
Okay.
Today, we're going to do a very specific kind of problem string. So there are different structures of problem strings. So we thought we'd focus on a very specific structure of a problem string called a helper clunker string,
Mm-hmm.
because different structures of problem strings you would facilitate differently. And
Yeah.
we've done that on the podcast, but I don't know that we've been as explicit about it. So let's do that. All right, Kim,
Okay.
first question.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm painting the picture. So I
Yep.
might say to students, "Hey guys, we're going to do a quick problem string. For this particular problem string, you're welcome to write. I don't know that you're going to need to, but don't make this about working memory. So go ahead and have something handy, which means either scrap paper and pencil, paper, pen, whatever, or they could have a
Dry erase.
miniature dry erase, yeah, like the what am I trying to say? Like they could write on their desk on a dry, if it's dry erase, they could have the dry erase board, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want them but vertical in groups, because problem strings are not done in groups. Problem strings are done, everybody's doing their own individual work.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I would say, hey, here we go. First problem, I would probably say the problem, 99 plus 123. I might say the problem and write it at the same time on the board.
Uh-huh.
Either way, I'm going to write it before I expect them to solve it. So I'm not expecting them to just hear it. Most of us don't have working memories where we can hear a lot of digits like that and be able to
Yeah.
hang on to it. So I'm definitely going to write it.
Yep.
Then I'm going to pause for a second. And it just occurred to me that I'm not doing Kim,
What?
can I change the today we're going to talk about facilitating an equivalence problem string structure,
Yep.
not a helper clunker. So close and yet so far.
Okay, sounds good.
So there you go. All right, equivalence problem string structure. Say when I just gave you that first problem, I was like, wait, that's not a helper. What am I doing? Yeah, okay. I'm prepared. I'm alive. It's the shoulder. Blame the shoulder. All right, so I'm going to give kids this problem, and
Okay.
99 plus 123, depending on what we've been doing.
Yep.
If I'm going to do this problem string, we would have done other problem strings before. We would have developed other strategies than the
Sure.
strategy I'm about to do.
Okay.
So I would expect kids to do something. I wouldn't expect for them to take too long, to work too hard, because we would have built other strategies.
Sure.
But I'm going to let them do it. I might circulate briefly to just see what kids are doing. But I'm probably just going to say, hey, what'd you get? And then, Kim, what did you get?
Oh, did I
99
solve
plus,
it?
yeah, 99 plus 123.
Okay. I got 222.
222. And I probably should have said, pause the podcast, solve it, everybody. Then I'm probably going to ask, did anybody think 99?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Kim, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about it.
So start at 99, and
Mhm.
if you add one more, that gets you to 100.
Okay. As you say that,
Uh-huh.
I just drew on the board a number line. I started at 99, so I have tick mark 99. When you said you're almost to 100 to add one, I did a jump of one and landed on 100. Okay, keep going.
And then since I've already added one, I just have 122 left. So I'm adding 122.
So then I would draw a big jump of 122, and I would say, and here's the hard part, what is 100 plus 122? And then you would repeat 222.
Yep.
And then I would draw. So I wouldn't just do it. I would draw the jump of 122, draw the tick mark, and I would say, and then that's the hard part. What is 100 plus 122? And then when you said the answer, then I would write down the 222.
Yep.
And then I would say something probably like, hey, you could have solved this in a couple of different ways. I just wanted to get one way up here to kind of establish the relationship. Cool. Next.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you said that you are asking and you're waiting for the answer, because I've been watching some problem strings lately where the teacher assumes they know what the kids are doing and they're drawing it as the kids are saying it, which then gives the impression that you're not really doing what the kids are saying. So recording after the kids are saying it is hugely important if you are making it about their strategy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, I've gotten a little lazy lately, and I have, how do I even say this? that as they're saying their strategy, I will at least be a little behind them, but sometimes it's good to hear them say it and then say, let's represent that. Can you repeat that? Or even have somebody, hey, did somebody repeat that? And now I'll represent your thinking. So sometimes it's good to have them get it out and then represent it.
That also helps if they aren't doing exactly what you think they're going to do.
Yeah, because in that moment I might say, I hear what you're doing. Actually, I was wondering, was anybody blank? And then you can get that strategy out. That's a way. Yes. Sometimes teachers will say, Pam, what if they don't give you the strategy that you're looking for? Well, that's one way to do it. Have them say what they did. And then you can go, okay, nice strategy. But did anybody use this to do that? Okay, say that. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's put that up here.
Yep.
And again, you're trying really hard to, it's not like you're saying bad on your first strategy. You're saying, that's not what we're doing today. So that's not the one I'm going to represent today. Nice strategy. But did anybody do this relationship? Okay, cool. All right. So Kim, on the board right now, we have 99 plus 123 equals 222 with then next to it, an open number line showing get to a friendly number strategy. All right. So the next problem that I might ask is, what is 100 plus 122? I'm going to write that on the board pretty much as I say it. And then I'm going to smile and I'm going to say, I'm not going to wait very long on that one. What do you guys all get? I'll probably get a choral response on that. And what is 100 plus 122?
222.
And then I'll say something like, I might not say anything at this point. I might smile. So you guys aren't looking at the board. I mean, maybe you're writing it down while you're listening to the podcast, but I now have two problems that have the same answer. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. I might smile, but then I'll give the next problem.
Do you think you would say nobody wrote this down, but no, I don't think you would.
Okay. What do you mean?
Sometimes I hear you say, nobody represented their thinking this way, but I could. But I think you actually do that with over. So never mind.
Oh, okay. Okay. I might, no. Then I'll probably give the next problem. And I might say something like, hey, what is 144 plus 100? I'm not waiting long on that one. So I've written down 144 plus 100. And then I'll look at him, smile. I'm not waiting very long on that one. What does everybody get? I'll probably choral response that one. Let everybody just yell out. Now, I might pause long enough to make sure everybody's actually thought about it before I say, what is that, everybody? And then what is 144 plus 100, Kim?
244.
244. I'm just going to write down 244. And then I'll say, okay, what is 146 plus one, where am I? Plus 98. Then I'm going to pause. I'm going to go, okay, that one's not as quick. You guys go ahead and solve that any way you want. Use a strategy. Now I'm watching. I'm looking out. There's probably going to be, I'm anticipating, if I see kids go, oh yeah, this one's not as easy, I'm going to have to work at that. They put their head down. They start to write. That's good information for me. I'm going to let them think. I'm going to let them use a strategy. I'm going to let them go. I'm looking though. I'm watching. I'm looking. I'm going to see if there's any kids that kind of look at me knowingly with a grin. And I'm going to kind of maybe look at them like, wait, hang on, wait, like pause, give everybody a chance to think, I'll kind of smile at them, maybe wink a little bit. And then as kind of everybody's finishing, then I'm going to have somebody share a strategy. Now, let's kind of go a different route. If nobody blinks, everybody just looks at me like, duh, it's because there's a relationship between it and the third problem. If everybody sees that relationship, I might not take as long there. So that's why I said I'm really watching. And if anybody dives in to solve that problem, I'm giving them time to solve the problem. And then I'm probably calling on one of them to say, okay, it looks like you're thinking about that. Good. How are you doing that? I'm going to give them lots of respect because they were diving in, probably using a good strategy. And at that point, I'm probably going to look for somebody. I might say something like, did anybody over that one? And I'm looking. And if nobody says so, I'm looking to see if anybody sparks at that to just say, oh, like they probably could. And when I see somebody spark, or if nobody does, I might say, could you? I'm going to pause. Could you? And if somebody sparks or if somebody used the over, then I might say, tell us about that. Then I'll, Kim, can you describe an over and I'll say what I would write?
Yeah. So, I would start at 146. And if I could add 100, that would be 246.
So I've written a number line with 146. And then you said you'd add what?
100.
So then I have a big jump of 100. I could have maybe heard you out more, but keep going.
And that gets me to 246.
Often, can I just, sorry.
Okay.
You can tell me if you hate me right now. Often when a kid does over, they might say, well, I started at 146 and I added 100.
And
Or
then I
they
back
might
up
just
too.
say, I added 100. And then at that moment, I'll say, where'd you start?
Mhm.
So if I say, hey, did anybody do an over? And Kim goes, yeah, I added 100. Then I'll go, what'd you start with? And they're like, oh, I started at 146. And I'll draw the 100. And then they'll go, and then I subtracted 2. And I'll say, wait. When you added the 100, where did you land?
Yeah.
So an important teacher move is to really get kids to actually say where they started, where they land at each of the.
Yep.
So they might just say, well, I added 100 and subtracted 2. That's okay. Don't say wrong, bad, but just go, where'd you start? And when you added the 100, where'd you land? Okay, so now we're at 246. Go ahead, Kim.
And then I backed up to
And then what is back to from 246?
244.
And as you said that, I backed up 2 on the number line, wrote -2, and then where you landed, I wrote 244.
Yeah.
So then I would say, okay, cool. So it sounds like you added 146 plus 98 by adding 100, backing up 2, and you landed at, I'll look at the number line kind of point, you landed at 244. Then I kind of step back and I just pause. And I'm looking for kids who now have seen that I have 2 problems that had the same answer.
Yeah.
And then I have another 2 problems that have the same answer. And I'm looking kind of curious right now.
Yeah, I think this is important. I'm going to pause you here.
Yeah, please.
Because when you say I step back and I look,
Mm-hmm.
your body language of turning your body and looking at the board is causing people in the classroom to also direct their attention there.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're not looking at the kids, like hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully you see it. You're looking at the board.
Curiously. I have this
Mhm.
curious look on my face. I'm
Mhm.
looking. Then I am going to turn and look at the kids.
Mhm.
Look back at the board. Look back at the kids. And then I might say, Kim, I noticed that you have this kind of curious look on your face.
Mhm.
What are you noticing? And now that's a bit of a, I could get some, I've actually had kids say things like, what have I had them say? Same, or, like same answer, and not have gone farther than that. And then I'll say, oh, that's interesting. Is that coincidence? It's probably just coincidence. Yeah. Just happenstance that happened. Somebody's going to snicker a little bit or something. And I'll go, is there a connection? Is there a relationship between the problems? And now I'm going to try to get kind of a conversation to happen. And I anticipate, I don't know, Kim, do you have something that you would anticipate a kid might say that's kind of half formed?
They might say the pairs have the same answer, or they're like almost the same problem.
And so as they say the pairs have the same answer, and maybe they haven't said it's almost the same problem yet, I might say, direct them. So good. Let's make sure everybody's seeing that. What do the add-ins have to do with each other? So if they only are focusing on the answers, kind of half formed, then I'm going to say, do the add-ins and the problems have anything to do with each other? And what, like what are you seeing? And then I might expect a kid to say something like, well, the 99 is almost 100 and the 23 is almost the 122 and the 144 is almost that 146 and the 100 is almost that 98. So they're noticing that they're close. So then I might direct, I might just try to keep calling on kids, because I'm hoping, but I might have to ask the question, how close are they? And then if a kid says, well, the 100 is just 1 away from 99 and the 123 is 1 away from 122, same with the 144, 146, are just 2 away. And now I'm trying to get direction in there. So again, I'm going to try to let it go and hope kids come up with that. But if they don't, I'm going to nudge like, well, 2 away, 2 up, 2 down. So, okay, the 146 was 2 more than 144 and the 100 was 2. Well, now I'm doing 2 directions. The 146 was 2 more than 144 and the 98 was 2 less than the 100. Oh, well, that's interesting. If the add-ins go up and down by the same amount, does that make sense that we'd have the same answer? And then I might just, if we've raised the question, I'm not going to solidify anything right now.
Right.
I'm going to raise it and kind of go, do you think that'll always be true? And now I probably might give the next question.
Yeah. So in this, though, you are letting what the students say help you be informed about how far you're going to carry the conversation. This is not you
Nice. Yes.
hoping that by the third pair, these kids have, all these great words about it, because especially if this is your first string of this type, you're like raising some curiosity. You're raising some wonder. and you're watching the students and you're getting feedback from them, and if not enough students are participating in the conversation, then you're going to come back to this in another string and another string. And so it's just enough to raise them some wonders.
And to be clear, when you just said, if not enough students are participating in the conversation, what you didn't mean was if not enough students are being engaged, if they're being willing. What you meant was that if not enough students have any idea of what's going on, seeing the relationships, making connections, then we're going to continue this string to have those relationships and connections ping more before we try to tie too much together.
Correct.
If I'm in a high school class right now, I'm expecting, the older the kids are, the more, maybe I should say, the more experience I think the kids have had. Right. I'm expecting more kids to be making more connections, but I'm taking the temperature of the class, and I'm trying to decide how many connections are being made, which will help me then decide how fast I'm going to try to pull things together. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then without pulling too much together at this point, I'm going to say, hey, here's another problem. 236 plus 198. Go ahead and solve that any way you want. Now, I'm anticipating, well, go ahead and solve that, any guys. So podcast listeners, solve that. 236 plus 198. Come on back. I am anticipating at this point, because I've put the 198 as the second add-in right under a problem where we overed plus 98, I'm anticipating that somebody's going to think overing again. And so I might say at this point, hey, did anybody over for this one? But I probably should have said, Kim, I'm going to let kids work on this.
Sure.
And as I'm letting kids work, I'm looking to see if somebody overed. I'm also looking to see if anybody's trying to use the pattern that they might have seen in the first two sets of problems. Mm-hmm. And I'm noting those kids.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to call on a kid who overed. And I'm like, all right, so Kim, can you walk us through that over stretch?
Yeah. So 236 plus 200 is 436.
So I've written a number line with 236. I've slid it over to the right of the two number lines I already have on the board. So the first problem started at 99, ended at 222. The second one started at 146. So kind of in the middle of that first number line, I've started the second number line. But this one starts at 236. So it's almost to the right of the second number line. Because the second number line ended at 246. Mm-hmm. So this 236 is starting just before that a little bit. So, so these number lines are, one of them started right where I was. The next one started to the right. The next one started to the right. And this is all because I've looked at these numbers ahead of time, and I've planned out on the board that I have room to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started at 236. You said added 200. So a longer jump than I have on the board so far. Big jump at 200. Okay.
That's 436. And then I backed up 2.
Make sure they tell me where they landed. Backed up 2 lands you at
434.
434. And so you're saying the answer to this problem is 434. I've now put the 434 on the number line. I've now walked back over to where I have the 236 plus 198, and I'm also writing the 434 there. Mm-hmm. Cool. Then I might at this point, if I have enough kids that dove in the conversation, enough kids looking like they're using the connection, I might say, I wonder if anybody has a guess what my next problem is. And I'm not going to wait too long there, because I think there's going to be some kids that are not looking at patterns at all. They were just diving in using an over strategy. That's a good place for them to be. So I'm not making this too much of an emphasis of you should be here, just kind of like a wonder. This is a way for me to kind of keep kids challenged that are ready for a challenge while not making anybody else feel like they're less than for not going there. And then I might say, my next problem actually is 234 plus 200. Pause. I'm looking at the board. I'm looking at the kids. I'm pausing. I'm like, I'm not really pausing on this because that 234 plus 200 is hard, but I'm giving weight to that there's a relationship happening here, that there's there's a pattern I'm hoping that they're starting to look at. Y'all, what is 234 plus 200? They'll say 434. And then again, I'm pausing. I'm stepping back. I'm looking at the board. I'm looking at them. Now, depending on kind of how the feeling tone is at this point, I might joke around a little bit again. Like, what? I'm just kind of in this, like, I don't know. There's this pattern, same answers. Like, what do you guys, what's happening in the problems that's impacting why I'm putting, like what patterns are you seeing? So Kim, what patterns are you seeing?
I'm seeing it's close to the problem that we had before. That
Mm-hmm.
the 236 went down to the 234, and the 198 went up to be 200.
So at this point, I might say it's almost like you're telling me that if I have a pile of marbles and I had 236 in this pile and I had 198 in that pile, how did the piles change from the 236 plus 198 to the next problem, 234 plus 200?
Took 2 marbles from the 236 and I gave it to the 198.
It's almost like you like took, and now I'm physically like taking my hand and I'm putting it near the first add-ins.
Yep.
And I'm like then moving it to the second add-in. And I'm like, so you're telling me if I just move these 2 marbles over here, did I change the total number of marbles? Looks like I didn't. Now I'm going to go back to the other 2 sets of problems. And I'm going to go, I wonder if we could make sense of these with piles of marbles. Will you turn to the person next to you, have a brief partner conversation? Could you talk about piles of marbles with these problems? I'm going to dive in and listen to what kids are saying. Now, at this point, y'all, I'm probably not going to go to kids who are seeing the pattern and they're clearly being able to articulate it. I might go to kids that I'm hoping to kind of keep engaged in the problem string. And I might kind of listen in on them. Like, what are you guys thinking about? And they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Where are the marbles? So then I might be like, I might help them sort of visualize. I'm thinking of a pile of 200, maybe you just kind of repeat. They might just need to hear it one more time. Kim, is that true for you? When I said that, did you have a different instinct of who you might have made a beeline for? I'm just curious. I don't expect an answer here. I'm actually curious.
No, I think I'm on board with what you're saying.
Okay. I think there is a world where I might have gone to my kids who I know are ready to be challenged. And I might have said, how are you guys verbalizing this? Or I might have said, can you guys come up with a problem that you could use this? So I might start getting them generalizing at a higher plane.
I think it might depend on the age of the student. So like if you're picturing high school students for sure.
Okay.
I'm picturing
Younger.
3, 4, 5, fifth grade, probably there's going to be some who like really understood the magnitude of the numbers in these problems. But if they're younger, they might be still tinkering with, third graders still tinkering with hundreds, size of numbers in hundreds. I'm wondering at what point when you said it's like moving marbles and it was the 236 to the 198, would you record for this first string, the +2, -2? Like, are you recording? You haven't said you're recording anything at that moment. Like, I picture you moving your hand.
Yeah. I did not record, but you know what? I might have. So today during the podcast, I did not. But you're pinging for me that I actually might have in a class. So between the 236 plus 198 and the 234 plus 200, I actually left a space.
Yeah.
So maybe subconsciously,
I think you probably would have.
Yeah. So I might have said, so if I move, so under the 236, I might have put -2. In between the 236 and the 234. And then with the 198, I might have put +2. So now you kind of see this almost looks like equation solving steps, but it's not because it's on the same side of the
and it's in
sign.
Context to what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, right. Like that is so valuable that
I'm modeling what they were saying.
Yeah. When kids are talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So as they say, so if I took 2 marbles from the 396, then I would have said, oh, so like -2. And then we'd give it to the 198. Oh, so like there's the +2. Yes. So it's in context. Yeah. Nice. So then I might say, what did you just talk about with your partner, and have them give some, have 1 or 2 kids talk about what they said with their partners. If in that moment somebody is too clear, if somebody goes, yeah, you just +2, -2, and you get the same answer. I don't know if that's clear or not, but if what they say that in that moment, resist the urge to go, yeah, you got it. Good. We're done.
Right.
Really in that moment, look at them like, really? Like you want to look at them and go, does that make sense to anybody? Can somebody add on to that or say that in your own word? Is that like you really?
It's not playing dumb though. It's not like, I'm confused. What do you mean?
It's not playing dumb. It's being intensely interested in what they're thinking. It's really wanting to hear how everybody's making sense of that. It's putting weight by waiting. You're putting weight on the fact that this is not trivial. And making sense of what's happening right now. We're going to spend a minute here. We're going to I'm putting some weight on this. Yeah. It's not fake. you're intensely interested in making sure that we're sort of giving everybody a chance to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, now we've put some words to it, and kids are like, "Yeah, I think if I move some marbles, then I didn't change the total amount, so I could just, I might steer it towards." So we made one of these numbers nice. It's almost like you decided, because we didn't randomly move marbles. Like you made one of those that 236 to 234. That's pretty random. Oh no, it's because we made the 198 nice to make it 200. Okay, so there were some, we made the 98 nice to make it 100, or we made the 99 nice to make it 100. So really you were making one of the numbers nice, and those were the marbles you were moving around. Well, that seems kind of interesting. I wonder which of these numbers might you want to make nice, and then I'll give the next problem. And I'm going to write up 395 plus 357. I wonder if you make one of the, now go ahead and solve it any way you want. Good thought, but I wonder if you can make one of those numbers really nice by moving some marbles around. Where would those marbles come from? Now I'm letting kids solve. I'm walking around. I'm listening. Kim, what might we expect to see kids do?
Oh, we would expect them to make 395 nice by taking 5.
So as a kid says that, I'm going to say 300. You said take 5, so go ahead, keep going.
Take 5 from the 357 and give it to the 395.
And when you say take the 5 from the 357, I might say that seems really random. Why are you taking 5 from the 357? Oh, it's because you're trying to make the 395 nice by giving the 5 marbles to it. And what is 395 and 5? That's that nice 400. So I've just written plus 5 under the 395. Drawn a line, that's 400. And what do you get when you take the 5 from the 357? I'm going to let the kids say that, which is 352. Hey, you guys, what is 400 and 352? Oh, that's nice. That's just 752. Kim, I'm not drawing a number line now.
Right.
So on the board right now, I have 395 plus 357. Underneath that, I have plus 5 minus 5, respectively. Underneath that, I have drawn a line, and then 400 plus 352 equals 752.
Right.
Wow, it really seemed like moving marbles around for this problem seemed pretty nice. Made one of those numbers nice, got the marbles from the other one. I wonder if you could do something similar. Okay, depending on how the kids are handling that. If enough kids were doing it, I might just move on to the next problem. If not enough kids were, I might say, well, interesting, that was the next problem in my string. Now, if nobody came up with that helper problem, if this is the very first time we've done this, and there's I shouldn't say nobody, but if a lot of students were like, I don't know what you're doing, then I might have just given 400 plus 352 or yeah. And then we'd probably be done with this string.
Right.
I'd probably come back to it later. But if enough kids, most of the kids were kind of like, yeah, I'm tracking with you to move those marbles around, then I could end this problem string by saying, all right, it looks like we made that first number nice. That seemed really helpful. I wonder if we want to make this first number nice. So how about 468 plus 292? Want to make that first number nice? Now I'm looking for kids to smile. Kim, you want to make that first number nice?
No.
No? Why? Because you're contrary? Go ahead. What would you do?
I want to make the second number nice.
By
taking 8 from the 468 and giving it to the 292.
So if I give 8 to the 292, that's 300. And I wrote that first, even though you said take it from the other one. So where'd those 8 marbles come from? Now I'm going to go back over to the 468, right, minus 8. And what is 468 minus 8? Hey, that's just 460. And then 460 plus 300, is that just 760?
Yep.
Now I'm going to say something general, like it really seemed helpful to think about marbles. Can somebody put into words what you're thinking about right now? And then Kim, can you just, I don't know, what do you think a 3rd or 4th grader might say right now?
I think they say something about making one of the numbers nice, nice and friendly.
And then I might say, can somebody add on to that?
Yeah.
And then I'm looking for somebody to say, yeah, it's like we're moving marbles around. And I might say, can somebody add on to that? Maybe we might get to the point where somebody says we're making an easier problem to solve. And I might then say the word equivalent. So it seems like if we can move some marbles around to make an equivalent problem, that might be a strategy worth thinking about. Great work today, guys.
You might have a kid who's like, Miss, I made the other number friendly. Because moving 32 from the 292 to the 468 also is a really nice equivalent strategy.
And if you've been playing I Have You Need, that's not inconceivable.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. A kid might have,
Right.
play I have you need a little bit. If I have 68, you need 32.
Yeah.
Bam. And like you said, taking that 32 from the 292,
So
sweet.
that's really nice because this is an opportunity for students who have made sense of the strategy.
Hmm.
Because as other ones are thinking of one way to make it nice, you have a problem where you could say to the other guys, is that the only way you can make it nice?
Yes. And here we are naturally differentiating.
Right.
Yeah, we've written problems that naturally differentiate. And so, we can keep all kids being supported and all kids being challenged at just the appropriate level.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Thanks for bringing that out.
Mhm.
I don't know that I would have thought of that, Kim. I like it. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoy a podcast episode where we kind of walked through what it would look like to facilitate an equivalence problem string structure. All right, y'all, if you like that problem string, here's the thing to know. That particular problem string comes from our grade 4 numeracy problem string book that came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
We're super excited about our problem string books. It is one of the equivalence structured problem strings that is meant to build the give and take structure.
Mhm.
In that particular book, we actually have 4 lessons that are devoted to this particular strategy. And it is one of, about 48 lessons in the book. For this particular string, we have this string and 2 what we call echo strings that could be what you could do tomorrow and the next day if kids they need a lot more experience. We also have 2 next step strings that are kind of baby steps before you get to then that next lesson that's on the exact same structure. So lots and lots of helps and guidance for facilitating problem strings in our numeracy grade level books. Check those out. We'll put those links in the show notes. Thanks for being my student today, Ken.
Yeah, no problem.
Students. All right, y'all, thanks for tuning in and teaching more and more real math. To find out more about the Math is Figureoutable movement, visit mathisfigureoutable.com. Let's keep spreading the word that math is figureoutable. Y'all, thanks for listening to the podcast. And don't forget, join me in the Great Mathematics Debate, where we're going to debate teaching procedures versus developing mathematical reasoning, July 7th, 7:30 Central PM. Register so you get the recordings at bit.ly/greatmathdebate. We will see you there.